There's no tragedy, there's no sad stories in this, but it's goofy how it starts and the ups and downs I've had. I've been in Major League Baseball, I've been down. I started, and all you gentlemen know from just everyone from watching the news, I started my working career as a political sidebar to Jimmy Griffin in 1978. South Buffalo politics, I'm from South Buffalo. I started pumping gas at the police garage. My first, the minute Jimmy Griffin got hit, of course he put all his cronies in, and I started with him in there, and I always wanted to be in the political end of it, though. So and the reason I'm telling you this, it does lead into why I'm in the baseball. I was on the Common Council staff in the city of Buffalo in about 1978 or so, 1978, 79, 90, or 80, and I was the administrative assistant for Stan Buchkowski, whose son, Michael, was the general manager of the Buffalo Bisons. Is there a threat of, and that unfortunately has nothing to do with my baseball at all. That just is what a small world it is. And I worked there, and I made the fatal mistake, and Lord knows this, I've shot myself in the foot so many times I should be limping, but I'm a hardhead. I wrote an editorial. This was when Jimmy Griffin was really arguing with the City of Buffalo Common Council, among other people. I wrote an article in the editorial page praising Jimmy Griffin's snowplowing prowess. And of course, the Common Council wasn't real thrilled with that, and I was more or less censured, and I knew it was time to retire. So I left the City of Buffalo's Common Council, and I retired at age 30. One of the smarter things I did, I took my 401k, took whatever I had in the state, and I retired, and I went to Bay Beach for the whole summer of 1985. I had a ball. I went there at 220 pounds, and I left there about 255. And I had fun doing it, though. And that's when I got the call from the great Jim Malloy in Washington, the doorkeeper of the House of Representatives. And I went and I was administrative assistant to Jim Malloy on the floor of Congress. Jim Malloy's a South Buffalo native who was the doorkeeper for 20-some-odd years for Congress. And that was exciting. I mean, we would, and it's very similar to stadium operations, we were in charge of the floor of Congress. Some of the boring stuff you see on C-SPAN had just come on then. And Tip O'Neill was the speaker, and we controlled the floor of Congress. We made sure that everything was proper, that all the members, 400 some odd members, were kept happy. The civilians that come in and out, as you see, as they come up and seek to watch the Congress, we would give tours. If any of you gentlemen came down there with your family, you would call your congressman would call us, and we would show you around Congress. We'd show you where the Puerto Rican nationalists in 1954 shot up Congress before the tragedy they just had with the police officers. These Puerto Ricans did not want statehood, so they just marched in, and there was absolutely no security at the time, and they just marched in, and guns started blazing. And one poor congressman had his political career ruined. He got shot in the ass, and people thought he was a coward. He was just diving for cover, and he unfortunately took one in the butt, and he never lived that down, and he was out of office soon after. I got the bug to come back to the Western New York area. Jimmy Kane was running against Gorski for county executive, and I came back and helped run his campaign. And this is where it leads into baseball, because we did great. Our election, we thought we were going to win, and we were doing great. But one part we forgot, we didn't count Cheektowaga enough. He beat us by 10,000 votes in Cheektowaga, and we lost. So I was fed up. I was hurt. I really thought I was going to be the commissioner of parks for the county. I had everything planned. I had my car color planned. And next thing you know, I was bartending. So I said, I'm out of politics. I was sick of losing. And this is when they were building Pilot Field. This was in 1987, 88. And out of a fluke, and this is the thread that runs through this whole little speech of mine, John Doherty, who was still the controller for Richard Baseball Operations, was my boyhood friend. I grew up with him. I was almost raised in his house. And he was then he became, I lost track, I was wandering all over the place. He became controller for the Bisons. They needed a fan operations manager. They needed somebody to take care of the ushers and the ticket takers and stuff like that. and I was doing nothing but bartending and just kind of treading water. And they offered me the job. So when Pilot Field opened in 1988, I became fan services manager, and not long after I became general manager of stadium operations for the first 3 years at Pilot Field. And that's where the bug hit me. That's where my love of baseball and everything that goes along with it. Because at Pilot Field, we were getting 18,000, just like you've seen on the video there. That was every night, 18,000 fans. I mean, the tickets were a hot commodity. People loved it. The Riches were in the process then of trying to get expansion, so they were throwing money around. And it was a great time to work. Anything you needed, anytime I needed anything, you just pressed the right button, and we had, yeah, it's good for the company, and we're going to get Major League Baseball. That's great. But then, as we all know, Major League Baseball didn't come here, and it's probably been. I don't think Buffalo could have. We've probably been scrambling right now. You look at Miami, and you look at some of those others. My opinion is, I don't think Buffalo could have handled. Fan-wise, we might have been okay. Television-wise, we just would not be able to compete with the George Steinbrenners and the Rupert Murdochs and all those other people. They've got $125 million a year contracts with TV. We'd have been lucky to scramble with 10. We'd have been probably like Montreal, Pittsburgh, would not be able to compete. So AAA is what Bison, they were the Bisons are meant for, and I think they're fine with that. The thrill of a new car, good money, and a solid position. I left baseball. It was a mistake I made. I managed a school bus company, those yellow school buses, a big, huge company. I managed it for 3 years. Did real well with them, won the National Safety Award for the safest terminal in the country, and hated every minute of it. Couldn't wait to get out of it. So, and this is a real short part here. I fell in love. I got married. I relocated. My wife got a job in Florida. I relocated with her to Florida, quit my job, lock, stock, and barrel, and went to Florida. I'm now back in Buffalo. My wife I no longer have, and I'm still in baseball. Next. But I'm not even, I glossed over that. I still love her. She's great, but she's no longer.
Page 2.
Yeah. But this is where, like, it's coming. This is where the whole thing threads. This is where the luck and baseball networking come in. Because when I was in Florida, searching around, seeing maybe I want to get in baseball, maybe there's a lot of things in Florida. Former Buffalo Bison, Kenny Lehner, traveling secretary for the Bisons when I was there. Great guy, one of my best friends. He ended up with the new franchise, the Florida Marlins. He was their general manager of their Florida State League and their general manager of their facility, the brand new facility they were building in Melbourne. If you ever get a chance, guys, to go down to Florida for spring training, I suggest you do it. It's the best. And this stadium they have here is in the middle of cow country. 3 miles either way is all cattle. Our parking lot was right next to grazing cattle. And they were building it brand new, and they were over their heads. And that's when I said, this is perfect for me. So I took a ride one day, about 2.5 hour ride from where I was living in Deerfield Beach. Kenny showed me around, and I said, you're going to need me. You can't hire me right now, I understand. I said, but I'm at your beck and call. When it hits the fan, and it will, give me a call and I'll be there for you. Well, they played the University of Miami, their first game ever in that stadium, and it hit the fan. They couldn't park, it was terrible. So I got a call at Wednesday night, I'll never forget, 10:30 at night. I'm sitting there watching television with my wife, and I get the call at 10:30 at night. When can you get here? I said, well, I'll be there as soon as I can. I got there 11 o'clock the next morning. I stayed a month, which is part of the reason I'm single right now. She didn't understand it. But I was in baseball. Spring training, there's nothing like spring training. It was gorgeous weather. I mean, I'll never forget my first day. I'm standing there saying, boy, this is all right breeze. And they fired a space shuttle. Well, it's right there in Melbourne. And to them, it was nothing. And you look in the sky, and there's a space shuttle going up. And nothing but blue sky. And I said, I fell in love right there, and I've been in love with baseball even more ever since. I did a good enough job for them there, solved most of their problems that because of Pilot Field, I mean, I figured there's no problem, we never hit a Pilot Field, that I need a new stadium, and that's where I kind of made my claim to fame. Because any problem they had there, then they were all flustered. I'd seen it before twice, I solved them, and I was a big hero. So the minute the spring training ended, they recruited me, and I was hired at Joe Robbie Stadium, the other end of the state, about a 45-minute ride from my home where I lived in Deerfield Beach, and I was hired on for their baseball season. Not really knowing what was going to happen. They really didn't know, because at that time, Wayne Huizenga was in the process of buying Joe Robbie Stadium from the heirs of Joe Robbie. Joe Robbie, and this is something that's a sidebar, Ralph, which we could happen with Ralph Wilson. When Joe Robbie died, he had 10 kids. Some were sharp, some were nuts, a couple were drug addicts. I'm not making a joke of that. I mean, it was nuts, and they were all fighting. So they had to sell it for the estate tax and all the thing that goes along when it isn't prepared. So Wayne Huizenga swooped in, bought the Dolphins, bought the stadium, and the kids split up whatever money Wayne got from them. So to my good luck at that time, he fired all the old timers that were with Joe Robbie Stadium, and I was in the perfect position. I became director of stadium operations for Joe Robbie Stadium, and all that encompasses, which were Florida Marlins, and they were in year 2 of their existence, which is still, it was a nice, Jeff Conine was with them still, it was still some nice new kids. Gary Sheffield had come in, good old Charlie Huff was there. So they used to lose quite a bit, but people didn't care because they were still innocent, and before Wayne ruined them. We had the Miami Dolphins, which was interesting. I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan, and I was in a Miami Dolphins shirt like this, the Miami Dolphin hat, and I was rooting for the Bills, which didn't go over that good, but I was disguising my voice on the walkie-talkie asking the score of the ball game. We had an interesting thing. It's the Thanksgiving of 1995. Spent Thanksgiving at Joe Robbie Stadium with the Rolling Stones. Bo Diddley, Sheryl Crow, they did a huge pay-per-view concert there, and as it was that whole year, and in stadium operations, we worked every holiday that was on the calendar, and some that even weren't. Everything fell. New Year's, Christmas, we had a football game on Christmas, Rolling Stones on Thanksgiving the day after, 4th of July, of course, the Marlins. And I mean, that's the tough part. It's hard to explain to your family and stuff, well, I can't, we're not going to the picnic with the Smiths and that because I got to work. And we've got to work Thanksgiving. I mean, I actually had Thanksgiving dinner because they had the big dress rehearsal. The Rolling Stones put on Thanksgiving dinner in the stadium. It was delicious with a very expensive caterer for 500 and some odd people that were working. And the reason I'm mentioning all these things is one of the final events when I was there is I was the Dolphins and the Marlins rep at the stadium for Super Bowl 29. And that is an experience that was probably one of my favorite. Talking about money, the NFL comes in and they built, for 1 month they come in, they take over your facility, and that's where I contacted a lot of the people that I still know in this game, and the reason I'm in Jamestown, because that same year of Super Bowl 29 is when the baseball strike hit. Now, I've been patting myself on the back saying that I did a great job with all these, and they gave me the raises and the stuff. When the baseball strike hit, because the NBA is going to learn this, baseball was at its highest. The Marlins lost in 1 year 1.5 million fans. Did not come from between 94 and 95. Did not come back. Basically said, and you guys remember all this from the baseball strike. The hell with baseball. You know, greedy owners, greedy players, and the people of South Florida are even more cynical, probably the most cynical people I've ever come in. You either win or are loyal, or they just don't want anything to do with you. So, I got and the date was June 1 of 95. In the middle of May, I got a 10% raise. Everyone else had got 5. I had done such a great job. I got a 10% raise. And 2 weeks later, I got a pat on the back and a kick in the ass, and out the door I went. Me and 11 other people. We're down $1.5 million. Wayne Huizenga's big penny cut. I said, "You've got to cut." And it was, "Thank you very much. You did a great job. Goodbye." And that was the baseball strike. And that's really is the forgotten part of that baseball strike. You know, the players took a beating, the owners took a beating, TV took a beating. Every organization did a lot of cutting. And it was people like myself. At that time, I don't even mind mentioning, I was making about 40 grand, tons of hours, so the 40 grand didn't spend well, but 40 stadium operations is pretty good. But that 40 grand represented the mid-range salary of most of stadium operations, and what they did is say, well, we're not firing him because he's the vice president of stadium ops. We're not firing him because this guy's only making 16,000. Guys like me went. And 11 of us on that day, June 1, thank you very much, you did a great job, see you later. And out the door I went. I was devastated. That hurt because it was like, whoa, here I am in South Florida and didn't know what to do. But my contacts with the Super Bowl, the same guy that ran the Super Bowl for the NFL, and has for years, was running the Olympics in Atlanta. And that's where all of baseball, and this is where how I ended up in Jamestown, is I made up one phone call. It says, I'm out of work, you need any help? They hired me, they flew me down to Atlanta, we talked, and I got the job running Olympic baseball at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, which is no longer there. You see the thread here is the Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. I had for a year an office right inside that stadium with the Atlanta Braves. Got to know them. We had lunch there every day. They have an executive dining room similar to this, where they invited me to participate. So I was able to come up. We had the buffet. We'd talk every day. And that was more or less the liaison between the city or the county, which runs and owned that stadium, and the Atlanta Braves, who were renters, and of course the prime renters, and the Olympics, who were like a 1,000-pound bull. The Olympics had nothing but money. They spent it foolishly, which was great if you worked for them. They didn't care. If there was a problem, they'd throw money in it, throw money in it, throw money in it. And the Atlanta Braves took full advantage of that, as you can see by them now playing in Turner Field. The Atlanta Braves had to go on a road trip for 18 days, which in baseball is almost unheard of. So the Atlanta Braves said, well, we're not going unless we get ABC. A was, well, we'll turn over this beautiful stadium that we built for track and field. We'll do a little renovation on it, and bang, it'll be your baseball stadium. So the Atlanta Braves took full advantage of the Olympics. God love them, good for them. And that's where their new stadium came from, right across the street. And they blew up Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, which wasn't a bad stadium, excuse me, and turned it into. So what happened to me was I worked the Olympics, and it was great, and that was until about October 96. The Olympics ended. They paid me about 2 more months to sit around Atlanta, and it was, well, what am I going to do now? I said, well, I'm going to come back to Buffalo, and this is my base of operations, and this is where I hit the wall. I was in between jobs because the baseball had ended, the Olympics baseball had ended. Everybody had hired their people, so for a year I bartended in South Buffalo and loved it. And there was no pressure, no stress. I bartended, made some money, got my resumes out to baseball. My friends in the Bisons, who owned Wichita and owned Jamestown, Lord knows I didn't want to go to Wichita, Kansas. I actually see nothing that I'd want to do there, but they had this great stadium operations job open. And that was my forte, and I figured, well, to get in, you got to be on the inside in baseball. And that's where I'm going to tell all these kids, and I'll tell all the kids at the winter meetings when we go, the kids I hired for 1999. The best way to get a job in baseball is to be on the inside. Last thing anybody wants to do in any of your businesses is you know what the person next to you, their capabilities or their downfall. So you're going to hire that person rather than go out and search an unknown. This is where. So I flew to Wichita. As a matter of fact, I drove to Wichita on New Year's Eve. Pulled in January 2nd. And I stayed there, and Lord knows. But I kept in touch with Mike Wichkowski and John Dandy. Them being the operators of that team and the operators here, never knowing that I'd be in Jamestown. But I let them know, you're doing a great job. I was brought there basically to bring their stadium operations back to the 20th century. They had no cleaning. Excuse me. And I did so. One of the things I was also involved with baseball operations, and I'll tell you a quick story on that. Day games. We have the same problems here. During the week, school's still in session. We had no bat boys. you got to have bat boys. Texas League rules is you got to have a bat boy. He's got to be in uniform. So, but it was, we had about, I'm 43 years old. The kids working there were 20, 21. But it was below them. They didn't want to be, they're there for sales. They didn't want to be bat boys. So I thought, well, I'll show them. I'll take my fat butt. I'll get in uniform. I'll shame them. And it was the greatest experience, guys. You'd all love it. What I did, I took my walkie-talkie, which is buzz and be a game, run the game, turned it off, says, I'm now the bat boy, don't bother me during the game. They found a uniform that fit me. Oh, the Lord knows, thank God they make them stretchy. Now here I am, I had a full beard at the time, my bald head glistening. And the bat boy sits right next to the manager the whole game. And it was the greatest. I did it twice. I loved it so much the first time. It happened again, and I wouldn't even ask the young kids if they wanted to do it. I said, I'm doing it again. We won 2 games in a row, too. Now, it's 105 degrees on the field. It's artificial turf in the infield at Wichita. Now, I'm not in the greatest of shape, but boy, was I psyched up. It was a day game. It was hot. But I'm sitting right next to the manager. And it's not that hard work. You're running a little uphill, you pick up the bats, you see, these guys see bat boy. But you're constantly listening to the manager at all times. You're sitting right next to him. You don't dare say a word. But he's doing whistling just the different signals. He wants the guys to move over a little. And it was dynamite. But by the second time I did it, I had to work both sides, both teams, because we had no bat boys. So I had to go from one side to the other one. Well, by the 9th inning, the pitching coach, Mike Mason, former Texas Ranger guy, goes, I'm all flat. Are you okay? I said, no extra innings. You gotta keep this. Because I was dying. Back and forth, it was 100. I was dying. I mean, I was flushed, and I'm, oh, baby. I couldn't wait. But it was the greatest experience. I wish New York Penn rules and baseball rules would, because what a promotion that would be to let everybody at this table do it. Because I'm telling you, you're back and forth picking up the bats, that's no big deal. You're walking, you get little jog. But to be in this right next to the manager, hearing him talk to the pitching coach, and saying get somebody warmed up, and hearing them yell at the umps, the stuff you can't hear from the umps, and the umps yelling back to them that the fans don't hear. It was great. That's how I got back here, because of course, people took a picture, and they sent that picture to Bob, Mindy, Dandy's, Wichkowski, and their response was, we got to get him out of there. The picture that Bob actually has in his office says the Texas League's oldest and baldest bat boy. And there I was with my full beard, and, I don't think the baseball uniforms were meant to look that way as they fit, too. So out of the woodwork, National Baseball Congress runs their tournament August 1st to August 15th, and it's a round-the-clock tournament. It's busy as hell there for us. And I get the call, and right before that, totally out of the woodwork. I'm home on a little bit of a vacation before that thing. I'm at my mom's house. I'm with all my brothers. I've got a long neck butt in my hand. I'm barefoot. It's beautiful weather in Buffalo. I'm not going anywhere because I'm flying out and going back to Wichita the next day, and we're having a family party, that you always have to have. And the phone call comes from Dandy's. And we happen to have the portable phone in the backyard where we were, because we just talked to my one brother who lives in Michigan. And my mother says, it's John Dandy's. Hey, I'm half in the bank. I don't want to have to say, but I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't driving. It ain't Dandy's. What's he calling? I get on the phone, and there's Dandy's offering me the general manager job at Jamestown. Boy, did I sober up. Huh? I didn't even know I didn't know that Mike Ferguson was leaving. Wasn't looking for this job. I was certainly looking to come back, but I was going to be working for the Bisons. I said, that would be great. So I worked the 5th National Baseball Congress, and you know the story, you've read it in Jimmy Gregg's column. I shot back. We ended Friday night. We had the Wranglers game on Saturday. I'd already set up. I turned my position over to another gentleman. I packed up my bag, my office, gave a wave. Lincoln Moving and Storage came on Tuesday morning and packed up all my stuff. Wednesday morning, I got in my pickup truck and drove across country and got here Thursday, you guys were, Jamestown was playing the game at the stadium. And I drove, I'll even tell you why, I mean, it's so memorable to me. I drove down 394, pulled into the Colony Inn, looking for a place to stay because I didn't have my apartment, didn't have anywhere yet. Ended up here. I didn't know that, I'd never been to Jamestown before. I had snuck in when I first offered me a job. I had come here, Andy said, go down there, take a look. Don't tell him you're coming. Bought a ticket, wandered around for 3 innings. Got lost, never been to Jamestown before. I drove, now I know where I was. I was on Foot Avenue, past the plaza near the gas station way the heck down there, asking where the stadium was. Because I knew how to get to Jamestown, and I was so intent on getting from Jamestown from Buffalo, I forgot to ask where the stadium was. Because I thought this place is so small. I'd pull in and there's the stadium, there's the bank, there's the school, and I didn't know, and I apologize. So I drove around for a while, went to Dietrich Stadium, loved it. It was clean. There was a lot of fans that night. It was kind of neat. It was a Tuesday night, and it was great. So I got here as quick as I possibly could. Lived at the Holiday Inn here because my furniture got sort of sidetracked in Kansas or wherever the heck it was. So I lived here for about a week. That's why the girls all know me. I ate in this restaurant here on the tab of I ate steak every night. It was great. I've gained 20 pounds since I've been back here. The moving company was paying my bill, so I ate their food. I haven't eaten steak since. So that's basically, and that shows the roundabout way and the different ups and downs and the luck. And sometimes, I tell all the young kids the bad luck and the doors closing one place, the door will open the other. I mean, was I going to work the Olympics? No, I was set. As a matter of fact, I turned down 2 jobs. I turned down the assistant director of the Georgia Dome, and I turned down the director of stadium operations for the Jaguars, Jacksonville. It brought me up there, offered me $50,000, a new car, and I said no. I was all set to Joe Robbie. We had just finished the Super Bowl. I was flush with success. They loved me. I turned down that great job. Of course, little did I know. I tried to call him back after they fired me. Hey, is that job still open? No. 1999, Jamestown Jammers. To most people's gratitude, we're going to be with the Atlanta Braves. One of the reasons, and one thing I did not do when I talked at Empire, when I will be talking with Empire again, with Atlanta, is I'm not going to badmouth Detroit. One reason is I don't know the gentleman. I get the impression they didn't want to be here either. When they left at the end of the year, we have not heard from them since. To this day. Norma, we'll talk in a couple of times. And the Atlanta Braves thing happened, and I'll give you a quick sidelight on that. We heard that they were available. We made a couple calls. I knew some people from my time with the Olympics there. And it was just like, yeah, we'll take a look. So they flew in. And I have to give most of the credit to Sam. Sam came in. We met with him on a Friday. Wasn't it, Sam? Spent 4 hours. And the baseball stuff is pretty much, that's what would come under me. The improvements that we promised them we make at the field lighting, the infield, was going to be done anyways. We made yes, it will be done. We have the guarantee from Sam. We have the guarantee from them. That's all they were looking for. Field-wise, baseball-wise. Community-wise, they were uncertain. And it wasn't for that other crap that went on last year. They just want a good, solid place for their young kids coming in to be exposed to. First time they're playing pro ball. They've been pampered their whole lives. Now all of a sudden they're coming in. Most of them are broke. They need a good support system. Well, this is where Sam came in and Norma too. They wanted a community that they could trust. And we showed them around the stadium. Norma gave her great speech to Paul Snyder and Derek Ladner came in. How we pamper them in housing, and we have housing for the players, so they don't have to worry about that. And then Sam and myself and the two of them went to Applebee's, and Sam, being the consummate politician he is, took the long route both times. Drove with them. Now I had a prior commitment in Buffalo, so I had to drive my own truck. Sam made sure he drove with them, and they didn't know where Applebee's was, so I know how to get to it now. You go up here, right there. Sam went through Jamestown, showed them all the great parts, talking the whole time. We talked the whole time at Applebee's, and then on the way back from Applebee's to the stadium, Lord knows what route he took, but he also gave him an earful. That sold. That and Norma's speech on the housing, they knew what the baseball and they know what we're going to supply them. They know what the rich baseball operations is all about. Jamestown in the community sold. And that's one of the, and we're going to have to prove it now, Sam. I mean, we've talked about this before. Norma, I talked to her this morning on it. All those claims and all those things, now we got to put up. We've signed the agreement for 2 years. Now it's Jamestown's turn to put up. We're going to do the improvements at the stadium. We're going to, Norma's going to go out of her way, make sure these kids have the proper housing, whatever it takes there. And Jamestown is going to, and this is where I come in, we're going to ask the manager, I'm not going to badmouth Torricelli, but I'm not going to also praise him. He didn't want to be here, he didn't care. They've made Atlanta has made their commitment. Their manager, now you mentioned, Doherty, I've heard him, never met him, but I've heard about him enough. The different guys that were here, they were characters. You guys still talk about him to this day. That's what I told Atlanta I want. Those players will come and go, they're young kids, they're fresh, pimply faced, they're not going to be our frontmen. You want that manager to be the community liaison. You want him to be the face of the Jammers. And that's what the Braves are going to do. What I want to do, and a couple of things, and I don't want to give away any of the clues, but I think what we're going to do in it, one thing I'm going to do to really mark, we're going to have the largest opening day, the Jamestown Jammers, Expos, Falcons, and whatever other names have been called in the past, have ever had here in Teacher Park. I'm going to have bells and whistles and fire. We're going to have the largest, I don't know where I'm going to beg, borrow, and steal. We're going to have marching bands. We're going to have dignitaries. I want to start 1999, give people a new flavor, the Atlanta Braves, Jamestown Jammers. And opening day, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but looking at that thing there, opening day is a special day in baseball. And that's why they have bunting. And everybody feels renewed. You're starting off in first place. The kids are all psyched up. They're still full of energy, where July and August they might not. The manager's full of optimism. The fans are all psyched. And that's what I figure with only 38 games, if we start that opener and we let Jamestown know that the Jammers are for real and the Jammers are the place to bring your kids, and the Jammers and Dietrich Park is the safest place around, it's the cleanest stadium you've ever seen, they're going to come back. And what better way to do that? And one other thing, and I'm going to throw this out for your comments, it's something I'm voting for full blast ahead, since it's a voting committee of almost one, me. It's got a pretty good shot of going. I'm bringing back Sunday day games. I want day games on Sundays. And we're going to have special promos with that to make it a real family day. Let me tell you my reasons real quick for doing it. I looked at the attendance of Sunday night games. It's pretty bad. So my gamble is really not that, I don't have that much of a gamble, because if I do day games or I do night games, I'm not losing anything as far as people. People aren't coming out that much on Sunday night. So I'm going to bring back Sunday day games, or I'm thinking about it. And if anybody has any thoughts on it, I'd love to hear it, because this is pro, cons, yes, no.
I like it.
I agree with you, David. The analysis of a Sunday evening is sort of a difficult night to promote. They've had all faith night. They've tried to do a lot of things dealing with the churches. And in reality, even if you pick that requirement, there are some churches that even have Sunday night services. I mean, you're actually competing against the thing you're trying to do, which is bring their programs here. And I don't think you have much to lose by that. And if you turn it into a picnic environment, literally, so you use that right field section for picnic and promote it as a picnic, would be terrific. That's never been done.
Well, the gamble on my part is little or none. If I have 500 people at 6 o'clock, or if I have 500 people at 2 o'clock, it's still the same ticket price. I just feel if I promote more, and that's a perfect example is what you just said, the picnic is, and then I'll do some kind of, I shouldn't call it a gimmick, but I'll put, to make it beneficial for fathers and sons, fathers and daughters. I mean, I can't be sexist, so I was thinking that the other day, different fathers and sons, I said, wait, I've got to be careful. Because the minute you say that, some guy with a daughter comes through and says you're discriminating. But something like that, where, because summer or no summer, most of the dads got to go to work Monday morning. And kids are out of school, fine, but you still got to go to work on Monday morning unless you're on vacation. Sunday morning, and I also think I should talk with that. I know, because like I said, I lived at the beach years. And Sunday night, you're pretty burned out. You've partied, you've worked hard, you've watered, whatever you do, you're pretty much burned out by Sunday night. By Sunday, you might spend the day at the ballpark in the sunshine, and we're going to promote it that way. Does anybody have any negative reasons why you shouldn't do that?
I think I'd try one night game just to compare it with what it goes on Sunday to see what it'll draw.
But haven't we been doing night games? That's where I was comparing.
But I thought this last year we drew probably the best they ever have on Sunday nights, which is a bad night, no question about it. But I don't know. There's a lot of competition Sunday afternoons in this area too.
Yeah. That's why I said there's a lot. There's pros and cons because we are technically there is some resort areas there, but I'm going to look at both ways. And I did look at the nights, and one of the reasons before I brought that up, I had Norma, punch up all the attendance figures for Sundays, and that's where I said, well, what am I losing?
Yeah, it's a hard draw. But say there were 6 Sundays, I'd try one night game and 5 afternoons just for a test case that one.
Perfectly.
It's just a thought.
I might have to. I mean, there might be some schedule problems, or I might have to anyway. We might be forced.
Best thing not to try to not scheduling Sunday games.
When do you know how many Sunday games you're going to stop?
Well, they're just now finishing up the schedule. We don't know. But I looked at our, with 38 games and looking at our schedule, it's between 5 and 7. Most of all the dates, however they kind of put them in. I added them all because I've had different ideas for every day of the week. But it's between 5 and 7 it'll be. So it's not going to be, it's certainly not the end of the world if it flops. But for baseball purists and I just like it, I've always liked it everywhere I've been in baseball, is a day ball game, the sun shining. God, I hope it is 90 degrees, and I mean, it just, bleacher bums, I mean, it throws all that out there. And then if I could wrap up some kind of make it, I mean, that's my family day. That's the day where it's not going to cost, Joe Blow and his wife and his 5 kids to come out to the ballpark. Boy, that's, and then you think, and Lord knows you think the divorced fathers with kids and that, they got to have something to do on those days, and they're always looking. That's a market, believe it or not. Weekend father, weekend warriors, those things. So that's something. And also I want to bring back, well, I don't actually bring back, I want to spice up a little on Friday night. It's certainly not going to be raucous. It's not going to be, one of the greatest memories I had of Pilot Field was our Friday night bash. What it became was the place to go, and it wasn't, I should say happy hour, because I'm not going to make it, alcohol is not going to be in focus. But it was the place where everybody showed up at the end, or at the end of the work week on Friday. It was the place to be. It was a cheap dinner. Beers were $1, hamburgers were $1, hot dogs were $1. You had some nice music. It wasn't nuts. You're under the tent. You're at the ball game, and then you watched the ball game, and it was just a nice atmosphere. Try to bring that back a little. That's still a work in progress. I'm certainly going to get a sponsor for it, and that's basically Friday night baseball. And it's people. That's right. Jamestown Savings Friday Night Bash. Boy, it's got a ring to it, huh?
Yeah, Davidson's sponsor. Friday Night Fish Fry.
Yeah, that's right. The people won't stand in line at their place. I see that. I actually have my fish fry there on Saturday morning. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's basically, I'm running out of steam and I'm running out of voice. That's right now, I don't want to tip my hand on all the other promotional stuff we're doing. But that's what we're going to be doing in '99 for Jamestown. We're going to, Mike Ferguson had a nice thing here. I'm going to pare it down a little bit. New guy, new team, perfect timing to do it. So I thank you, Russ, for inviting me here to Greg's Hot Stove. Hopefully when he's the guest speaker, I'm going to come with my TV set and I'll show some video or something. He's a friend, and thank you all for coming, and I appreciate it. Now, one thing I did learn from last hot stove, I haven't ordered my lunch yet. Because I watched him, he talked last week, and his lunch sat there and got cold. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, David.
Appreciate it.
David, what do you think before it's all set? Do you have any feel for that?
No, I could probably bring that right back to you guys. I asked, Norm on my right, left hand here, who I ask a million questions a day. They never, one of the things when I was here for the 6 days, I went out of my way. I wasn't going to get in a confrontation with Torricelli because he was just rooting for a fight, and I figured that's not going to be my battle. Most major league teams, now when I was with Wichita, of course I had Kansas City, I was the baseball ops guy. They were pissed about something, they let you know. The Bisons, of course, with Cleveland and Pittsburgh were in there. If there's a problem, it's communicated right away. This player's not here. Norma and their group there did everything for Detroit, and they never said that we don't like this, we want this. To this day, if they weren't going to call me, they were going to call John Dandies, or they were going to call Bob Rich himself. To this day, and it is now the 14th of October, we have not heard Detroit saying, goodbye, we're leaving. The only thing we did was Bob Rich won the deadline. And this is, of course, if you look in the paper, a lot of teams did this. When that you have to file, and it is a secret filing, we want to relook at who we affiliate with. That's all you do. You put in there, we would like to relook at who we affiliate with. So you become a free agent. Major League does that too. Yankees did it with Oneonta. Cleveland did it with Watertown. They were moving, but it's secret. And then at a certain date, the Major League Club is informed that these are the teams, and I got the memo still on my desk at home. There's a pick. AAA, AA, single A short season. Names of teams, names of teams, names of teams. It was this much New York Penn. Jamestown, Oneonta, well, hell, all just about. I mean, like half. That's evidently that got Detroit mad. We don't know. Speculation. That's how we found out. Hey, look at the Atlanta Braves. Did we hear from Detroit saying, we're going to shop around too. We're not sure we're coming back, but because there's a real good chance, incidentally, that if Atlanta turned us, not a real good chance, if Atlanta would have turned us down after that certain date, which was about the 26th or something of September, the National Association says, you got them. That's how Miami ended up in Calgary. I mean, that's the last thing they wanted to do in their AAA franchise. But when the music stops, it's like musical chairs. I mean, that's even when the music stops, and if you haven't chosen a dance partner, they choose for you. Miami, Florida Marlins were left. The Calgary team, no one wants their guys way up in Canada. But Major League, you're the only ones left. Congratulations, it's by contract. So we we had Atlanta pretty much in our pocket after Sam and Norma's speech with them. But it wasn't official. And that's where I was calling, and Jimmy was calling. I had given him a little clue. Television was calling. I had given them a little clue that, and a certain day this might happen. But the long answer from a real short question I should have had was, we don't know what we did. Jamestown, I mean, you couldn't get more from the Booster Club, and we had nice fan response. They either knew that we were so mad at them they didn't want anything to do. They weren't even going to bother going through the routine. But Atlanta came in full steam. Boy, they loved the chance to work with Rich Baseball Operations. Certain things that report, everybody's read about, the report that came in, down to the little things in the stadium, they didn't even bring them up before we brought them up and said they will be fixed. Done there. So I don't know, maybe Detroit, now Detroit's going to be in Oneonta. From what I understand, I haven't visited her yet, but I understand that's looks a lot like Allen Park. No, so, and even though they were fun, when the music stopped, Detroit was here, Oneonta was here, and there was nobody left to dance. That's how they got it. So hopefully, the scheduling gods Oneonta will visit here. They haven't been here. If they come here next year, we'll give them a nice, that'll be something to sell.
As you know, what's the rest of the minor league system for?
Bacon, Danville, they've got 3 A-ball teams. Richmond, who's double A? Bacon? Danville, somewhere down on the South Carolina coast, I forget.
Greenville was listed.
Yeah.
Jim had a,
Yeah, I mean, what they've done down, and they're doing it a lot down south, is, and Sam, this is no reflection on your efforts, but these little towns are saying, hey, let's build a $5 million state-of-the-art little cubbyhole of a stadium. And the minute they do that, these teams come, and they snatch them up. That's why Pittsfield is going to be going to Staten Island, and the Yankees are going to Coney Island. You know, Giuliani's got a lot of. Giuliani is taking that vast amount of money they got there in New York City, and he's plucking $5 million stadium in Coney Island, right in Coney Island. Bring baseball back to Brooklyn. If I'm not mistaken, that's where Coney Island is, right? And in the year 2000, the Pittsfield Mets are going to be going to Staten Island. So the Mets and the Yankees, that's why the Yankees are up there. They'll have their kids that they need to teach the most right in their backyard. Saves a lot of money. And it's a nice little marketing ploy to have your, you know, they'll have the Staten Island Yankees and the Coney Island Mets or vice versa, whatever it is. Absolutely no competition for the big boys yet. You know, the cost of, this is where they bring instructors down here a lot, the cost of flying instructors and driving instructors into Jamestown is a little more expensive than driving across Staten Island. You know, they looked at that, but they're used to it. They were in Eugene, Oregon, so and they bring instructors here the most. So it'll be interesting on how this does finally realign. We're going to be finding out. It'll probably be 7 teams on our side and 7 teams on the other side, and we probably won't play them. The team in Vermont, the team in Staten Island, the team in, you know, we'll play them in the playoffs. We'll stay in our 7, you know, we'll play the Batavians in those.
That's a good question. Are you going to have any control over the process?
Yes.
You know, when you got grandkids and you got some fucking after hospital, you got 3 or 4 grandkids, that's a good question.
Twofold answer on that. One, I do have some control because his contract is ended and we're sitting down. But on the other end, in defense of him, and unfortunately I know what you're talking about, his prices and the quality of his food are as good and as cheap as you're going to find around the country. I mean, that's the cost. There's a cheap concession stand here, and that's one of the things I looked when I snuck in here before I was even hired. His prices are great. Oh yeah, and the quality. That's the good part of having not sports service and not volume services. You know, your popcorn's going to be pretty good, and your popcorn's not going to be rubber. If you ever go to a Bills game, you know, you can bounce that all in the stadium because they cook their popcorn for the football season a week and a half ahead. Put it in the big bags and put it in the corner. So, Mike, I wish I could give you an easier question, but chances are the prices won't be going down. But you're getting a good bang for your buck as far as quality. Yeah. That's not the answer you wanted, but that's the truthful answer.
It's kind of expensive, you got a bunch of grandkids.
Oh, I understand. I mean, that's, but that's the cost of doing, and that's, like I said, that's as cheap as, bring your kids to Jacobs Field, grandkids. Well, that'll be a one-time deal. Don't save up your money. Yeah, that's.
So we do not.
David, between now and Christmas, what happens down in your shop?
In our shop it consists of a 2-tier management firm, me and Norman. Right now we're just starting. As a matter of fact, we just cleared our schedules. I came back from Buffalo yesterday with my directive. We're tearing apart and putting together our budget. Because I don't think I'm telling tales out of school. they've been, and this is where people should pat Bob Rich on the back, and this is off the record, please. I should have said that about 2 hours ago, shouldn't I? I didn't read any of this line. I forgot who I'm sitting with. They've been losing money. You know, he stays here because he loves baseball and he's really fond of Jamestown. This franchise was losing money. My directive is to stop the bleeding without any considerable difference to the fans, and I'm going to. Norm is going to. And one of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to tear this budget apart and put it back together and balance our books like you guys, like we do at home, like most of us do at home. You know, when the money's out of the checkbook, don't write another check, and that's what we're going to do. And so for the next month and a half, we're going to be back and forth in Buffalo, putting together the new budget. Right about that time, the baseball meetings will start, and I'm going to be going to, where am I going? Nashville. And that's where I'm going to put out the feelers to hire the rest of our staff. And good hungry baseball kids in here who have the same passion that most of us at this table doing that I do. That's what I'm looking for. You're not going to become rich at this level. But boy, you're going to have your foot in the door. And I know people. I know baseball people. I know, because when they are looking to climb that ladder in baseball people, they ask, what kind of guy is he? And as you guys will all know, if you don't already, I'm brutally truthful. And I'll either tell the guy's great, you're more than welcome to him, and best of luck, or the guy's a bum, and I wouldn't hire him, you know, to shovel my walk. And those are the kind of people I'm going to Nashville, and I'm going to interview. We're interviewing for, let me put it to you this way, too. I was meant to bring this up to you. I'm looking, I don't have to hire them from around the country. A Jamestown person would be better. I'm looking for a sales and marketing person. I'm not going to say money right now because I don't know until we do our budget. I'm looking for a young go-kidder who wants to be in baseball. He's got to want to love the game because he's not going to be wealthy yet. He's got to want to get his foot in the door. I'm looking for a clubhouse manager for a seasonal. I'm looking for someone to run my clubhouse professionally. Somebody who might want to, and it doesn't have to be a kid. It's long hours when they're home and short hours when the team's on the road. And you can do the math, you've seen the schedule. We're going to be looking for some young kids who want to intern. Maybe you know some kids that are in school who want to intern at the ballpark. They're certainly not going to make a lot of money, but they'll be around baseball. And once your foot's in the door in baseball, quick story of me when I was at Joe Robbie, I hired an intern from Oswego the day before I got fired, not knowing I was going to get the bounce. This kid's still there because I was paying the kid. You know, he was an intern. After his internship went up, they gave him a $16,000 job. He was thrilled to death. They're working him to hell, but he's in Major League Baseball. You know, they fire me making 40, get the kid for 16, put up with the, you know, that's what an intern can handle. You know, because chances are real good that by next year, Norma's going to wear out her welcome. She'll be gone. That position will be open. None of these guys like that much of that. She's great. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, chances are at this time of year, Norma will be sitting here saying, you know, remember Dave? Well,
we'll replay this.
Yeah. Last I heard, he's with Tim Torricelli down in Alaska baseball. Yeah, Norma is. So that's really what it comes. And then, once I get back from the baseball meetings, we're at the holidays. We're going to have our gift shop open. We're not going to. I don't think we're going to use your generous thing at the mall. We're probably going to turn our stadium into the gift shop, and we're going to work right out of there. And it's cost savings, really, what it comes down to. The generous offer you gave us, but our overhead, we've got to keep it down. So we're going to have a Christmas sale at the stadium. We're going to be getting our renewals out, and once we hit that time, we're going to have our season ticket renewals go out and all the things that go with that. And then before you know it, baseball season, once you hit January, it goes right downhill in a real quick hurry. So there's a long answer to that question. And that's all written in pencil because Lord knows it changes daily. Right now it's kind of slow. We're just kind of waiting for the next, Buffalo just finished and we're at Buffalo's mercy. I go up there once a week, we'll meet with the salespeople and do whatever I got to do and meet with Buchkowski and get our directive there. We're just kind of on hold right now, waiting because I don't want to jump the gun. We want to have another splash with the Atlanta Braves.